Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris Souders, Slender Cat Outdoors, back with you again on this beautiful afternoon. Tonight, I got a couple things I want to go over, a couple things I want to discuss. We're going to be covering topics on my what I feel is my three favorite go-to summertime flathead rigs. Uh, let's see here. But before we get started, one, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you let me know that you guys can hear me, see me, and everything is crystal clear. All right, so oh goodness, Harley Neal, I'm glad you're in the house tonight, buddy. You always make things interesting. Definitely make me laugh. So I'm gonna wait for a couple people to get in here tonight. I got something kind of very important to me that I want to touch on. I had somebody send me some information via Messenger, and I want you guys, the viewers and people out there that watch this, if you have something special like what I'm getting ready to read to you all, make sure you send that to me. I do not mind at all to share information about something that's special or something that you guys need help with. If I can reach out to other people and help you guys get things rolling. Real quick, I'm gonna move this camera just a little bit in there. All right, there we go. That's a little bit better. Now I can kind of see what's going on a little bit better. But there is a young lady that needs our help, the catfish community's help, and a gentleman by the name of Will Thiemann. He's from Indiana. He's going to be putting on a tournament to help this young lady. She's got cystic fibrosis. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but is going to be out of Angel Mounds, which is around Newburgh, Indiana. It's going to be August 17th. Will, if you're watching this tonight, make sure that you leave that information in the comments. Put something out there, tag me in it. That way, everybody that's watching this can go there, get the information, and possibly be able to make it to help this young lady out. A couple things that's going on with that. Sea Arc is giving $1,000 to that tournament, and Jason Bridges is giving a two-person trip to Wheeler Lake. If you guys do not know who Jason Bridges are, shame on you. One, two, he is arguably one of the best fishermen there is in this country, but definitely one of the best on Wheeler Lake. So to be able to get a 2-day or two-person trip with him on Wheeler Lake, that is phenomenal, and my hats are off to Jason for giving that, donating that trip to this tournament for this young lady. So that's that. If you guys have any questions, make sure you're leaving them in the comment section. As always, this is where we get our information for the future shows. If you're new to the channel, I want to say thank you for watching tonight. This topic that we're going to be covering tonight is something that I get a lot of questions about all over the country. And, this is specifically summertime. One of the things I'd like to do with this channel is give you guys information specific to this time that we're at. And right now we're in summertime. And the rigs that we use in summertime for flatheads will differ from rigs that we use, say, in fall or spring, just a little bit, okay, because of how sensitive they are to feel and actually how tough they can get whenever that low current situation comes about and they get off spawn, go into their what we call a summer home for the summer, and they just become a tough fish to catch, and you really got to use all your cards and put everything in your favor to be able to target these fish and be successful. So let's go back up here. I'm going to pull the chat up. If you guys have any specific questions that you want answered tonight, make sure that you put at Chris Souders. It'll pop up in orange and I can automatically see it. once again, thank everybody for joining tonight. You know, something that is very, you know, brings a lot of question about is, you know, what rigs do we use for flatheads? Why do we use them? What is the best rig? And you know, it's hard for me to put one rig on top of everything. So I've narrowed it down to my 3 favorites, what I usually throw every time I go out on the water for flatheads. And I'm going to start with number 3 first and work our way to the front. Okay, so the first one is one that you guys have seen me, you know, use a lot. This is kind of like what I would consider Old Faithful, something that, you know, it gives variation, height variation, depth variation, also bait variation. Okay, and the reason that this is number 3 is something we will get to, you know, just shortly. Why it's number 3? Okay, but this is the Kentucky rig. Okay, you can see I'm gonna start from the bottom and work our way to the main line. This is just a snap and just a regular swivel. Now this goes to your sinker. Okay, so this can be cheap, light, something that's going to break away, you know, because that sinker will get hung up. And this leader line is 80 pounds, so if you can break that off and lose your sinker, you know, you're you know, benefiting yourself. You won't lose everything. Okay, so that's your sinker, and I got about 10 to 11, 12 inches from the sinker to the first eye or dropper loop. Okay, and that goes down to a 7/0 Diachi D85. And for a lot of people asking, all the links to everything that's on these, everything that I use is in the description. You guys just go down there, click on it, and it will automatically, you know, take you to where you can buy. And it's what I normally do. As you guys know, I'm very thrifty, so I have narrowed it down to the cheapest, most affordable bang for your buck on that. Okay, so that's our first dropper loop, and these are about 5 to 6 inch dropper loops. Another 12 to 18 inches in between the 2 dropper loops. Okay, and then down here where it connects to our main line is just a 100-pound barrel swivel or crane swivel, and this is 50-pound Andy Monster, and that is 80-pound Andy leader line. Okay. Yes, Dalton. One thing I wanted to do. So we've been getting a lot of new viewers, new subscribers, and I want to say thank you for that. So this is number 3. This is what I consider the Kentucky rig. There's different variations of how to tie it, and the way I have it here with the inline loop, which is the last way that I showed you guys how to tie it, that is the strongest. I do not mind catching, you know, 50, 60, 80-pound fish with that loop at all. Do not mind it at all. So now I'm going to show you guys, you know, how to tie that real quick. But if you want more information on that specific one, you can go back into the videos, and I have specific videos on how to tie those rigs. But I know a lot of people, you know, have questions on how to tie them, so I want to go through that real quick and let everybody see how to tie that, especially the people that are new. I hope everybody has had a great weekend. If you haven't heard, you know, by now, I got the trip of a lifetime going down and fishing on Dave Marciano's Wicked Tuna boat, and that was definitely a trip of a lifetime. Got some great footage of that coming up real soon. So now with this Kentucky rig, you can use the 7/0, which is the bigger ones, or This is kind of why I call this the Old Faithful. Okay, that's a 5/0 Diachi. If you go back in time a little bit, several years ago, Steve Douglas and myself done a video flathead fishing, and we was having a pretty tough day, and I switched things over to 5/0 with the Kentucky rigs, real small bait, and was able to put a real nice big flathead in the boat. You can go back in his library and find that video and watch it. Really good rig. Highly recommend it. Okay, so real quick, let's tie it up. Now, what I normally do is I will start at the sinker end, and once again, it's just a small swivel, a snap, cheap, light, something that can break off. I will tie a weak knot, something with maybe just 2 or 3 twists, 4 twists, something that's just going to be, easy to pull loose or break if I need to be. Okay. Now, once you get that tied on, okay, you got it right in front of you. You want to make a loop, and that loop needs to be needs to be clockwise, okay? And you'll want to pull. You can see how that gets littler. You want to pull that to however long you want that to be from your first loop down to your sinker. And like I said, I like mine about 8 to 12 inches. Keeps it up off bottom just a little bit, not so far up that it's way above their head, and not so low that it's actually on bottom, but just kind of right there, right above their head, so that they can see it, smell it, and everything kind of goes right in their face. Okay, so you got that 8 or 10 inches there, and what we want to do is we want to pull the opposite side of that loop. Okay, so we just want to make it bigger. And you want to kind of pull it out to about a little bit bigger than the size that you're going to want. So if I want 6 inches, I'm going to pull it out to about 7 or so, okay? And then I'm going to hold my dropper and both the main line and the loops, and we're going to twist right here in the middle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? And we got a loop. Now, this string that's sticking down here in the bottom needs to come up and through that, okay? Now, you can kind of see how everything's coming together. Now, whenever you pull, you want to make sure you get it good and wet, and then just hold it with your tongue and your lips and pull the main line and the sinker dropper, and everything will tighten up. It'll be nice, in line, really strong knot. Awesome. So, and I know you guys like that up close personal shot of my face, but you can see everything's nice in line. That one's a little bit shorter than what I meant to make it, but you get the idea. Okay, then we'll come about that 18 to 24 inches from that loop up, and that's where we're going to kind of hold it. Okay, now from there we'll make another clockwise loop. Okay, and we want that, once again, we're going to pull the bottom part down till we get the length that we want, and then we'll pull the other end to get the length of the dropper we want. Okay, so we got about 7-8 inches there. Hold them between your thumb and your index finger and twist again. 6, 7. Put that loop through. Awesome. Okay, so now we've got our 2 loops, and we just want to cut. I usually cut about 6 inches above that. Just give me enough uh, to tie my 100-pound crane swivel to. Okay. Now these are 100-pound crane swivels. These I want to throw my buddy Willie Cahoon a little drop here. Tackling cats, if you don't know who Willie Cahoon is, if you are a big supporter of American made products, American distributed products, and American owned business, get a hold of Tackling Cats, Willie Cahoon. You can buy legitimate American made, American distributed, and American owned products. Okay. I really, really encourage everybody to do that if you can. Let's see. Yeah, Stonefly71 brought up a good thing. Now the way you tie these is really good for making your own sabikis, your own skipjack, moon eye rigs as well. Okay. So now I'm gonna do a double clinch knot. I always put 7 twists, run it through the loop down by the swivel, and then I run it back through that loop. And I think might be an improved clinch knot. I'm not sure. If you know the correct name for that knot, put it in the comments, because I'm not 100% sure, and I want to make sure. I just tie it because it's strong and I like it. So there you go. You got, we got to put hooks on it too. All right, so we're going to put 7/0 Diachi D85s. Now we got our loop sticking out there, and what I want to do is I just want to come down, kind of pinch it together, and you see how I'm holding the hook. I want that loop to go through the back of the eye. Okay, now you can see it. Okay, and I'm going to take that loop and I'm going to go over the hook, and I'm going to kind of bring it to me, and you're kind of twisting it. You can kind of see how it goes. It lays underneath the back of the shank, and then you're going to go, it's going to be twisted again, and you're just going to do that three times, and it'll kind of look like a crisscross. Okay, and you just pull that up tight, just like that. Okay, now that will throw some of you off, it is kind of, and this is the only way that I put my hooks on like that. Okay, is just on this double hook Kentucky rig. Everything else I snell from the front of the hook and out the back. Okay, so once again, through the back of the eye, and just do it 3 times or so. Pull it up. It's good and tight. You're ready to go. Put a sinker on there, and you are ready to roll. That is the double hook Kentucky rig, stacker rig. Couple there's a couple different names people call it, but I call it a double hook Kentucky rig. Let's see here. I got a few questions. Couple questions here. Justin's Fishing Fetish, he asked, can you cast this? You can. Total length, let's see, everything. Somebody told me that tip to tip was however tall you were. So if this is about half as tall as I am, we're looking at about, right at 3 feet. Okay. So you can cast it. I cast it fairly easy, so total, you guys can kind of see how long that is. Great rig. You can use more than one bait, different depths. This is a number 3 on my favorite flathead catfishing rigs. Okay. All right. Hagen Grubbs Fishing, he asks, do I normally like my loops big? Hagen, that really depends on the style of fish I'm going after. If we're going after channel cats, I might leave this just a little bit shorter. You know, but as far as fishing for flatheads, I want to give them enough room that whenever they come up here, and this bait's kind of floating, that they can come up and swallow it. And my thought is that they don't feel this main line as easily. Okay, so they come up and they'll inhale this leader, and it still gives them a little bit of room there without filling your main line. Okay, so that's the reason I like mine a little bit longer. All right, let's see here. All right, number 2 on the list is basically a traditional. It's one that most people know, most people use, most people use it on a regular basis. Okay, so remember, this is whenever we're talking here, we are talking about summertime flatheads, finicky, tough bite, low water, low current situations. Fish that have just come off spawn, they're tired, they're intelligent, can be very, very picky on what they eat, and can be very tough on how we do things. So, like I was saying in the beginning, we want to stack all the odds that we can in our favor, and we have to use even though this tackle box is basic with swivels and beads and just everything basic that you need for catfishing, there's ways that we can put it together that might give us just that little bit more of an edge to outsmart what we're trying to go after, and whether that's flatheads. And the day that you do not give them credit for how smart of a fish they are, they will humble you. Let's see. All right, I just got a message from Mike Greenwell. If you guys have any questions about the tournament for the young lady that has cystic fibrosis that we talked about at the beginning of the video, it's a tournament that's going to be held in Angel Mounds, which is down by Newburgh, Indiana, on the High River. If you're friends with Mike Greenwell, he says that Will is at work tonight. If you have any questions, hit him up, Facebook Messenger, all that good stuff. He can relay any messages or might possibly be able to answer any questions that you guys have. Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that. For anybody that has just got on, that may not understand what we're talking about there, they're having a benefit tournament to benefit a young lady that has an illness that really needs help. There's some companies that have stepped up, like Sea-Ark, that is giving $1,000 to donation to that tournament. Jason Bridges, which has donated a 2-man trip to Willer, guide trip. So, like I said, if you guys got any questions, get a hold of Mike Greenwell, and he can help you guys out tonight, okay? So, once again, back to number 2 on our rigs of what we want to, I kind of got off course there for a minute. Number 2 on our my 3 favorite flathead rigs is just the traditional. Okay, now this is one that you guys have seen mostly, but there's little things inside of it that I do in the summertime to give me that little bit of an edge. Okay, now on some of my videos that you have seen or that have was just out springtime, late fall, I will use a 3-way, which is like this. Okay, it is a double crane swivel kind of put together. I like those a lot. But when it comes to summertime, completely different. I don't use 3-ways at all for flathead fishing. Okay, I go strictly to sinker slides, and that is because I want them to feel as little of resistance as possible while they're, coming up and grabbing that bait. Now, with the double hook Kentucky rig that I just showed you, that is not possible. Unfortunately, the nature of that beast with that rig, if they grab the bait, they're going to feel the sinker and the weight of the rod, things like that. With this, we can kind of and this is why it's number 2 on my list, and that Kentucky rig is number 3, is we can eliminate it feeling the weight as much because it's going to pull through that sinker slide and only feel the rod. And this is where rod, action and how heavy of a rod we use in the summertime really comes into play. I hear a lot of people talk about, they like a stiff rod. They want to be able to get that fish out of that brush and out of that wood. Well, I agree. It's nice to be able to pull that fish and do what you need to do with it. But to be able to do that, you first have to fool it into eating and give us the opportunity to be able to get it out. So it's a give and take. With a lighter tipped rod, but maybe a little bit light in the tip, going down into some regular backbone, you're giving yourself that chance of being able to try to get it away from that brush and try to fight it, okay? Without doing that, we automatically put ourselves at a disadvantage right off the bat. Now, one thing I want to stress about this is, current plays a big part in this. If you're in heavy current, then that's going to be less of a necessity than if you're in light current or, say, lake style, situations. So, once again, we got 50-pound Andy Monster down to a sinker slide, sinker stop. A Tackling Cat's 100-pound swivel. Once again, American made, American owned, and American distributed. And this is just a 80-pound Andy leader. It's about 18 to 20 inches long. That's about what I normally would use. And then down to a 7/0 Diachi. Okay, that's a D85. Now this is the basic of basics. Great rig, love it. Cut bait, live bait. It's an all-around good rig for flatheads in the summertime. Okay, the main thing that I want to point out is that we are eliminating as much friction, as much rod weight, and as much lead weight as we possibly can. I still like to run a little bit heavier weight. That's just my personal preference. But if I can get away with a 4 or a 5, a 3 in the river, then I will. Okay, as long as my baits are staying still and they're holding, I will go lighter. But I still like that, summertime 6-ounce, style. All right, and I bet there's a few of you out there wondering what we're going to give away tonight. And that's kind of what's going to be on the next, my number 1 rig, or what, my favorite summertime flathead rig. And there's a lot of things that go into this, okay? And I want to stress that there's, there's a lot of reasons that I picked this rig, okay? Let's see. River Rat 2112. He asks, I've been hitting a very small river, some 40 to 60 foot wide, maybe 20 foot max hole. Any advice for that? River Rat, I specifically, without knowing the body of water, it's kind of hard to do that. I'm going to guess that it is an open river, that I'm going to take for granted that it probably doesn't have dams on it. I'm not sure if it does or not. If it has current, as always, this time of year, we don't want to get out of the current, but we want to stay in some current, and we want to find that heavy structure. Okay, this is the time of year that those big flatheads will go find that one solitude tree and just absolutely that's their home for the summertime, and that's where you're going to catch them at. So, you know, my biggest advice is just to make sure that you're fishing structure. Summertime, I really prefer wood. Uh, during the day. Now, if we're nighttime fishing, something I want to uh, kind of stress, sandbars that collect bait will collect other fish, predator fish. Um, so if you're nighttime fishing, you're going to target those areas that are going to hold bait. Okay, uh, and you might have to wait in those areas a little bit longer. Waiting for those fish to travel through and get your bait. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. All right. So number one on my favorite. Did we freeze up? Hell, snot.